For everybody online, we're ready to begin. Let's open with a word of prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you that we can be blessed by your word and the comfort of your presence. I ask that you would guide and bless each of us. Despite the late hour for many of us, give us the strength to be able to remain focused and attentive. Be especially with our translators. Give them strength and energy and clearness of mind. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. We began our study by having a quick review of symbols from Revelation 17, describing them as being either a panoramic perspective or a dispensational perspective. Once you can do that, I'm suggesting you can demonstrate that there isn't just one beast, there are in fact 7. There isn't just one woman, there are in fact 7. It's the same thing as saying the following: one beast in 7 phases. One woman in, we'll make it literal, in 7 different clothes. And if you can do that, you can say there is one head in 7 phases. That's just a short recap of what we taught. This thing that we call a beast is sometimes described as kings, sometimes as heads, sometimes as horns. I don't know what that means. I spoke about people being raised up by God, which includes each of us, as well as those special individuals that have come and gone in this movement's life. I describe them as being raised by God. I call them teachers, priests, prophets, or angels. And I explained, in accordance with and in agreement with Ellen White, that these individuals, because of their background, their life experience, they have biases, and they bring in extraneous, which means additional wrong information into their message. That's what humans do. Miller did that, Ellen White did that. Elder Jeff did that, Elder Tess did that. And you can be sure it's being done today. Before I went back to responding to the questions I've received, I wanted to go back to the beginning of our line, the line of the 144,000, at least the modern version of that, which begins at 1989, not 1798. And I wanted to make some comments about the beginning of our history. Now, what I said in the last study and what I'm about to say in this study, if you say, I already knew that, good on you. But from my observation and experience, many of us have an incorrect understanding of some of these things. And a misunderstanding of the beginning of our history, because in our studies we can all be transported back to 1989. Elder Jeff is teaching us through his work what's happening, and we are misunderstanding what he's saying. And that misunderstanding on our part has caused ripples through prophetic time and has caused us to misunderstand the end of our line. One of the things that it's caused us to do is misunderstand the waymark of the Sunday law. Whether you agree or disagree with me in my conclusions, it behooves everybody to at least listen to the thoughts that I'm sharing when I'm suggesting that this is affecting your understanding of the Sunday law waymark and the close of probation waymark. Even if we don't cover enough information whilst we're here over these 2 weekends to fully explain all of that. From 1989, I took us forward to 2018-19. I gave an example of something from the magazine. The 2 rivers taken from the book of Daniel. Which Elder Jeff said was the river of life and the river of death. because there were two understandings of prophecy. One would lead to life, one would lead to death. Elder Tess said, I attribute it to her. That a stream is the same thing as a river. That's just a play on words, because she had been teaching two streams of information, the left and right, the good and bad, because she's going to teach us, I'll just say it simply, about politics and world affairs. She said when you analyze the world, you need to use good sources of information. And she's going to suggest, this is not a new idea, but it's buried in the Time of the End magazine, in the phrase, two rivers, which she says can equally mean two streams or two streams of information. Like Ellen White, she's going to argue that this is a battle of the mind, which is why she's going to speak about an information warfare as opposed to a physical warfare. Accuse who you want to. But if an angel stands up and says, this is an information warfare, not a physical warfare, and they say that in 2019, why would we think, I'm going to say 2 years later, when we see in the news what kind of warfare, physical warfare, why we should even be interested in that? When the Midnight Cry Messenger has told us it's an information war. We'll move on. I then went on to talk about the same magazine, not in 2019 now, but in 1989. I know it's not written then. We're going back to the waymark, which the magazine is addressing. The Time of the End, 1989. It's on the board. This 10-year history, I want us to understand what the magazine is saying so that we understand correctly, prophetically, what's happening. In the verse, we're in verse 40. It says, the king of the north is going to do something after something happened to it. I'm sure we're all familiar with this. If we're forgotten, I'm just going to refresh our minds. We're going to take the word from the King James. Push. We'll take the word push to mean kill. So the king of the south is going to push against the king of the north. At the simple level, it's going to kill or deliver a deadly wound to the king of the north. That's not an accurate representation of what happened. We do not care. We do not care that a little after 1798, a literal pope was literally killed. It doesn't really mean anything. In our first sweep, our first pass at these words, we will say the king of the south killed the king of the north. It did not. Then, in the verse, it says the king of the north shall come against the king of the south. With a ferocity that will kill the king of the south. And it tells you how it does that. With ships and chariots. That's what this magazine is going to deal with. We are here. That arrow points to the beginning of what I've just said. So I'm going to say, we'll put a line through that, and we'll call this Story 1. And therefore you know it's going to be more than one story. Where? In the Time of the End magazine. We're discussing story 1. Verse 40. There's a holy alliance. In real life, Papacy, USA. John Paul II, President Reagan. This is the history. I'm just giving you a 10-year history. 1989 is what we're focused on. 79, I've just put there. In 79, it wasn't Reagan. You can translate that if you want. You can translate that if you want. Okay. So, verse 40. It's not papacy. It's the king of the north. We're here on the board. It's not papacy. It's the king of the north. It's not the USA. It's something else. And I want to know what it is. Prophetically. Papacy. Prophetically is the king of the north. That is what Elder Jeff is teaching. Not me. Him. Not even Daniel. Elder Jeff is teaching that. Then what is Elder Jeff teaching about the USA? The literal Ronald Reagan USA. We had some options, and someone said military strength. I put a tick to that. They remembered the verse, and so we added economic strength to it. What that is teaching is the following. In story 1, verse 40, this holy alliance is between the king of the north and not a kingdom of Bible prophecy. It's just someone who happens to be very strong and very rich. And that's going to be significant as our story develops over the next 30 plus years. We asked the question directly, who is this United States power? In verse 40. The answer, in a prophetic context, not literal, it's nobody. It's not a kingdom of Bible prophecy. Just happens to be someone who's rich and strong. Then I asked, this person is meant to be a king. And I thought, kings have kingdoms. If this person had a kingdom, why is he asking help? I'm just going to introduce a new phrase, a new word. For this nobody, I'll do it in a minute. Why is he asking help of a nobody? We all should know conceptually there is a problem because kings have kingdoms, and any kingdom has what? What do kingdoms have? Armies and banks. They are rich. Some are richer than others. And they have an army. Some have bigger armies than others. Now, if we were to talk and say, the king of the north killed the king of the south, what would be inbuilt into that story? What would we know? If that's too complicated, we'll go back to the beginning of the verse. Who did the killing first? Who started the killing spree? Verse 40. King of the south. Does it say in the verse what the king of the south used? No. Why? Because the king of the south, like everybody knows, has a what? Has, what does it have? Has a kingdom. And what do all kingdoms have? A bank and an army. You don't need to be told that. So when the king of the south killed the king of the north, it had its own ability to do that. That's why it doesn't need to tell you. I hope that sounds as reasonable to you as it does to me. Now we juxtapose. Before we juxtapose, when this king of the south killed the king of the north, why doesn't it tell you that the king of the north had some ships and some chariots? Why didn't it tell you that? Because we know that the king of the north had what? A kingdom. And in that kingdom there was an army and a bank. So these are two kingdoms, proper kingdoms, that are fighting against one another. One wins, one loses. And we say, one dies. Then it says in the verse, this king of the north is going to come back. But when he comes back, it's not coming by itself. And we should be alerted to why. Why does it need ships and chariots? And the answer is, it doesn't have its own. Because if it had its own, it would have just said, King of the North came back and killed the King of the South. And the second fight would be the same as the first. Not kings against kings, but kingdom against kingdom. We're okay with that? So we know in the second battle, does the king of the south have a kingdom? Yes or no? Yes, because he didn't hire any chariots or horses or ships. Chariots and ships will do. It defended itself. But the north, it didn't have its own. It had to get it from somewhere. And you know, it didn't hire the person. Because if it hired the person, it means it would have money, ships. And the thing it would hire wouldn't need ships. So we know the king of the north is a beggar. AR? I'll do AR. Is a beggar. That ship and chariot is not its own. Where are ships and chariots found normally? In a kingdom. We've demonstrated that. So we know the king of the north has what? No kingdom. Are we all okay with that? All the imagery that we have teaches this. Have no kingdom. The question is, when this king of the north, at the moment we will say, that was killed, that's going to resurrect, what does it want? Let's say, revenge. Because that's what we all want. We might call it justice, but it's normally revenge. He wants to pay back. But he wants more than that. What does any king want? A kingdom. A king without a kingdom is nothing. We'll stop and we're going to go back to the beginning of the verse, because we talk about this pushing, this killing. We're going to give a very simple story. We have a line, and we're going to discuss two dispensations. We'll call this number 4 and number 5. Kingdom number 4 and 5. In terms of Daniel 2, what's number 4? In Daniel 2 language. Legs. Good. Number 5. Feet of iron. So, number 4 I have a feeling that someone said clay when I asked about number 5. And you saw I put feet of iron only. They're not feet of clay. Just iron. Because my question was, the fourth what? Kingdom. Fifth kingdom. Number 4. In the real world, what do we call that? Someone shout it out. No, the name. Real life. Let's call it pagan Rome. If we're okay with that. What do you want to call this one? Number 5. Just Rome? Papacy is a church. So I've got kings of Europe. Anything else? Eastern, pagan, Rome. You might call it the Byzantine Empire, or the city would be called Constantinople. And these kings of Europe, who are they? Where'd they come from? They don't come from France. Not asking that question, I ask, where did they come from? Give me another name for them. I'll help. I'll call them the 10 Germanic, which is like German, not French, sorry. Tribes. We okay with that? So this is the fragmentation of pagan Rome. So the fifth kingdom is complicated. If we're going to call number 4, what Francine suggested, which was just Rome, we'll do that. What's the 5th? Exactly the same. Rome. Rome and Rome. The 4th and 5th kingdoms are all Rome. And this is where Daniel 2 begins to be weak in its symbology. Because it's going to say 6 and 7 is also iron, which would mean also Rome. So either it's weak or there's subtleties that we have not seen. We'll give some dates. 538, 1798. So we just want to focus on number 5. 538, 1798. This is the 5th. We were told a moment ago, we'll do it this way. We'll just put the 10 tribes. Not going to worry about Constantinople for the time being. So we were told a moment ago that this was France. I'm going to call it France 1. Clovis, I think the name that was given. Then we will have France 2 at the end. Clovis, Napoleon. EAN, is that okay? Napoleon. So this death that we speak of in verse 40 at the time of the end, we'll put it here. We have 10 tribes. So these are kings. And then we will have the papacy. And the papacy is in the same time period, the same dispensation, but it's not the kings. So the question is, why is the papacy called the king of the north when it's not a king, it's the church? We'll give a simple answer. This church, however they manage to do it, influence and control the kings. And in a relationship, whoever influences and controls rules. Just want to add, this should not be called the king of the north, should it? What should it be called? The bad term. Bad term, yeah? Word, symbol, choice. What's a good one? Not king of the north. Not woman. I'll give you a clue. Unless Shemaine's going to tell us. The other Shemaine in the room. I'll start, she'll finish. King of the? What? I don't know what that is. East. This is the king of the east, not the king of the north. Why is it called the king of the north? I won't give a geographical answer. I will not give a geographical answer. I will not give a military answer. I will give a great controversy answer. I don't know why, but heaven is described as the north, or the sides of the north. And therefore God, who is the king of heaven, sits on the sides of the north, or the north side. So when Satan wants to take over, there's a great controversy over that throne, which is in the north. Don't read that literally. So when we come to real life battles here on earth, instead of saying the king of the east, which we all know that it is, the term king of the north is used. So we just want to add that. Why is the papacy called a king? Because it controls and influences the real king. Like Jezebel, who controls her husband. Herodias, who controls her husband, Herod. They're like marionettes, puppets, for those who are translating. And why the north? Because God rules all the other kingdoms of the universe. All the planets, which all have their own rulers and kings. God is King of Kings. Another way of expressing that is the King of the North. So the symbol of north, read ultimate. Ultimate. Is that good? Ultimate? So King of the North means the ultimate king. Or King of Kings. The Pope controls the king. Therefore the Pope can be considered, as we just heard, the king or the ruler or the controller of the king, the real king. The 10 tribes. The Pope controls the 10 tribes, 10 kings, therefore is King of Kings, is known as the King of the North. Don't let that confuse you when you go to Revelation 17. Hopefully we're all good. So in this history, there's an alliance between the papacy and the kings of Europe. That relationship we identify as a what? We will call it a marriage. What we should really call it is, we'll just call it fornication for the moment. Which brings us to Revelation 17. The woman had fornication with the kings. So let's put Revelation 17, verse 2. Everybody okay with that? The king of the north, the woman, papacy, is going to commit fornication with the kings of Europe. The first one was Clovis. We'll say the last one was the person that came before Napoleon. Forgive me, my French history is not that good. King who? Is it Louis? Is Louis something? Yes, it is Louis. Louis is L-O... Yep. S? Louis, number? I'll put 16, we'll correct it if it's not correct. So, all good? So, the papacy is in an illicit relationship with Louis. All good? When Napoleon comes, and this is a complicated story, there are many layers. We have two revolutions. We have Napoleon, and Napoleon's going to say, enough of this. Enough of this illegal sex. We're going to put a stop to it. So, what gets killed, what gets destroyed, is not the Pope. I know they killed Louis, but they didn't destroy France. So, the Kingdom of France remains. The papacy remains. She's still a woman. The woman of Revelation 17. And now, when Napoleon burnt the bed that they slept on, her and Louis, she was left without a partner. Not her husband. Because in Revelation 17, she's called a prostitute. In Daniel 11, she's called a king of kings. King of the north. And now she does not have a what? A lover, a king, or a kingdom. She is a king of kings without a kingdom. The papacy is alive and well, but not happy. Are we okay with that? So we've gone back to the time of the end, not the magazine, the date. And we have defined what the word push means. The king of the south is Napoleon. And what does Napoleon have? Two things. An army and a bank. He's going to use his kingdom to bring a death not to the papacy, not to any kings, but to the relationship. Not just Louis, but any other king of the fifth dispensation, the king of Europe. No more European kings. Napoleon does all of that. And then, sometime later, that new France, France 2, what do we get? We get Germany 2, Spain 2. Simply put, we get the whole of Europe 2. Which means, after their revolutions, in which year? Memory test. Good. 1848. Once we get to that place, none of them are interested. We have a king of the north wandering in the wilderness. This is not the wilderness of Revelation 17 or 12. This time period, we have a king, the papacy. Is the papacy dead? No. Did the papacy resurrect ever? No. But what the papacy wants to do is resurrect what? Fornication. Adultery. And there is someone stopping it. Whom? The king of the south. Because that's what the king of the south does. Always stopping the king of the north doing its thing. And the king of the north, where does it live? Europe. In the city of Rome. Lives in Europe. That's its home. Vatican. Country. It's not going to move. Why? Why would it not want to move? Because those steps of the Vatican came from where? Came from where? Straight from Peter. That is holy ground. And the Pope's not about to move. The Pope is going to stay where they are when they want to resurrect their power, which is Europe, which is called the Old World, which is the fifth kingdom. We're in the history from 1798 to 1989. There was a deadly wound. Deadly, killed. Real wound. What got killed? the illegal relationship, which we call fornication. What does it want to do? It wants to re-establish fornication. With whom? A king. And in this history, someone is stopping it. So we have a king of the north, alive, well, but sad, because they can't commit fornication. Who's stopping it? The king of the south is stopping it. If I say him, I hope it doesn't confuse anybody. 1798. 19. What year? '19. W. What year? What year? We all okay now? What are these two events? These are attempts of the king of the north to first do what? Kill the king of the south. And at the same time, get into a relationship with whom? Pagan Rome. The 10 kings. Europe. The 5th kingdom. After the death, this is the 5th. This is the history of the 6th. The papacy has a goal to re-establish the relationship that it once had. Because when you rule, from where? The city of Rome. When you rule from the city of Rome, you not only rule Europe, you rule what? The world. Why did Rome, pagan Rome, collapse? What was its critical mistake? Just giving you the answer. If you want to rule Europe, if you want to rule the world, you rule from Rome. What went wrong with pagan Rome? They chose to move the kingdom's capital. Eastward. From Rome to this virgin place called Constantine. All good? It's Constantinople, of course. So the Pope is going to stay where he is. He's going to find a European king to kill two birds with one stone. Do you have that phrase? You get your lover. As soon as you get your lover, what will you get? Kingdom, and an army, and a bank. And then go after the king of the south. 2 attempts, we're in 1798. 2 attempts later, World War I, World War II. Now you know why I say it is called Hitler's Pope. Germany's Pope. The European Kingdom's Pope. Because this is the re-establishment of the Pope's kingdom. And it has to be in Rome. You call that Europe. Ellen White calls it the Old World. When that failed, King of the South, still doing its thing, happy. What's its thing? What's the King of the South's thing, job function? To stop the King of the North being the King of the North, being the King of Kings. It's its only job function. And it's been successful. Because all the kings of Europe, when they try to get into bed with the woman, they have a flirt, but it doesn't work. Then we get to 79 to 89. And we have a beggar king who doesn't have a lover in Europe that goes on the road and says, "Can someone help me?" And this rich, strong person says, "I will." And they are successful. They successfully do away with the King of the South. Where in 1989, King of the South, we're going to just say he's dead. Then you have the papacy. King of the North, in quotation marks. Is it a king? Thinks it is. Is it a north? A north. Is it a north? Just repeat what I said, please. It's prophetically correct, if not grammatically correct. So, is it a north? No. Because it doesn't have a king. It's not in a relationship with a king. and getting into bed with a strong, what word did we use? A strong rich person isn't good enough. Because where do you need to rule from? Rome. And this strong rich person is nowhere near Europe. So they're not an option. So we have a papacy that wants to be a king. What does north mean? It means supreme. So it's not a king of kings. It's not a king of the north. It succeeded in getting rid of the king of the south, but there is a huge problem. There is no lover that's available for her to commit fornication with. That's 1989. And what we find is that that entity that we call the King of the North, which is the papacy, that entity comes to its end. Its prophetic end. The Pope is still alive and well in Rome. But it's not an entity of prophetic significance. It's not the King of the North. What happens is that this rich, strong person ends up taking that, you call it title or crown, whatever you want to call it, from the papacy. And what you find as you go through that 10-year history, that this apparent stranger that just happened to come along at the right place at the right time was in fact on an agenda. They had a secret mission. And that secret mission is the story of the Time of the End magazine, part 2. Let's close with prayer. Holy God, we thank you that you can be with us, guide us, and bless us. I pray that the study that we've had today have been a help, not a hindrance. That through these words, through this telling of this story, we might begin to clearly have a better understanding not only of our past, but of our present and future. In Jesus' name, amen.